So E equals MC squared. Your web elements will create a gravitational pull when good content is combined with focused momentum. E equals MC squared. In the previous video, we talked about the E, your web elements. In this video, we will be exploring the C, which represents your content. Everyone has access to the same tools online. It's how you use the tools that will make the difference. Your content is what you're going to use to stand out and to set a standard with your inbound marketing efforts. Your content represents or is the information that's on your website. And good content is like a beacon of light that shows targets how to find you. Your content is going to include keywords, which are essentially flags that say to the search engines, hey, I'm over here, find me. I think about content in the same way that I think about candy. I am a sugar baby and I love sugar, and I've had a sweet tooth since I was very young, so I crave candy in the same way that your visitors and website visitors anywhere crave content. My requirements for candy are that they are 1, fresh. The candy has to be fresh. 2, it has to be sticky. 3, I need lots of it. Yes, lots of it. And 4, I need it to have variety. My rules for candy are very much applicable to your own content strategy. So first of all, freshness. Freshness is really important. My candy has to be fresh. It cannot be old. It cannot be stale. So does your website content. Much like a house deteriorates, if it's not used, a website is going to deteriorate without use. A website is meant to be filled with content, and lots of content. And if it's not, it suffers from the law of diminishing utility, diminishing marginal utility. When I think about this law, I think about pizza. You might crave pizza all day long. The first few bites are extremely gratifying, and you're going to get a lot of pleasure out of what you craved all day long. But after that, it is downhill from there. After each extra bite, what you consume is marginally less and less gratifying and less pleasurable. So its utility decreases. The utility of a website that doesn't add good content deteriorates in much the same way. A website, as a visitor, I'm probably going to be intrigued the first time that I go to your website. If you've put up some good content, I'm loving you. I'm probably really satisfied with it. But as time goes on, if you weren't adding more and more content, then what happens is that website is less and less useful to me. This example extends to search engines too. When the search engine spider stumbles upon your newly developed site, it gets really excited. It ravages every page. It leaves no piece of text unturned, and then it moves on to the next site. That's its job, just to go looking out for new pieces of content. So when it comes back to your website again, it's going to be looking for new information. It does not need or care about all of the old stuff that it already has consumed. It's just interested in the new stuff. And a website that's not up to date with fresh information and fresh content is less and less useful to the search engine over time. And this is something I don't think a lot of small business owners realize. The search engine spiders, if you haven't updated your site, they are just going to pass it on. They're going to pass it on by. They don't even bother with it because they can see that there's nothing new there. They don't need to touch it. So you've got to start adding content, and you have to make a commitment to adding content on a regular basis. The next requirement of my candy is that it must be sticky. Oh yeah, that means that you have to develop content that is so compelling that visitors come back again and again. You do not want your website to be a one-hit wonder. It needs to connect with people. It needs to resonate in the minds of your visitors, and this might mean you telling vivid stories or you explaining things in a creative way. But whatever it is, you've got to figure out a way to create these deeper connections and engage them. And you might be saying, okay, How can I make my information more interesting? I sell widgets, and the widgets that I sell are not very exciting to me. So how can I make them exciting? Well, content that is attractive to search engines and visitors doesn't have to appeal to you or to a general audience. It just has to appeal to your targets. And if you're selling something that the targets needs, it's going to be attractive. If content is written from an audience's perspective that's interested in widgets, then it's attractive. Sticky content can really be anything that helps your target audience solve a problem, that helps your target audience look at things from a different perspective. Maybe it's tips, might be advice, maybe insights. Just think about what it is that you can create that is worthy of sharing, and that'll kind of solve that piece of the puzzle for you. If you focus on creating something that is so compelling that visitors will want to send it on to a friend or share it within their networks, then you're on the right track. When you create content that is thought about with the next person in mind, then that is sticky content. So in addition to having sticky candy, I need a lot of candy. In much the same way your website needs a lot of content. Consumers crave content and information. They have an insatiable appetite, and it is your job to be the buffet. Run out of the mashed potatoes or the beef brisket at the buffet, and you'll see what happens. The customer will go somewhere else to eat. The more food that you have, the better. And likewise, the more web pages you have, the better. Consider this. In my experience, the average traditional website of a small business or a local company has about 5 to 10 pages. Now, my first issue with that, I already talked about earlier, is that those 5 pages are rarely updated. But my second issue is that 5 to 10 pages is nothing. It's not a lot of content at all. If you want to make a splash with search engines, you need to provide them with a little more substance, a little more content. When you take a 5 to 10 page regular website and you compare it to a website that has hundreds of quality pages and blog posts, which one do you think is better? Now, if you pick the latter, the second one, the one with hundreds of pages, then you are correct, and the search engine agrees with you. The pages on your website, in a sense, are like lottery tickets. The more pages you have, the more opportunities you have to win the search engine lottery. If you have 50 pages or 100 pages in blog posts, then you have 50 or 100 times more opportunity for exposure. So it's really important to make sure that you have a lot of content there. In addition to having a lot of candy, that candy needs to be varied. Now, sometimes I feel like a Jolly Rancher. Other times I feel like a Snickers. Maybe sometimes I want a sweet tart. The point is that when it comes to my candy, I like variety. I have to have variety. Likewise, visitors like variety when they come to your website. In the online space, variety really is the spice of life. And this is because people learn and they like different things. They learn in different ways, and they like to be entertained and engaged in many, many different ways. In college, I remember there was a lot of focus placed on Myers-Briggs and all of these different personality tests and things that were designed to help you understand your personality type a little bit better. And I was kind of offended because initially I thought, you know, what a waste of time. I already understand myself. I'm in touch with myself. I know who I am, and I know how I operate pretty well, or so I thought. So the test for me felt like they were really, really redundant. And it wasn't until I graduated and until I started to work with people and all of their many personalities that I really grasped the true power of these types of tests. Knowing different people and how different people learn and how they process information, that is ultimately the key to being able to communicate with them. If you don't know how to communicate with them, then your lips are moving, but all you're saying is blah, 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 okay? Some people learn by reading. Some people learn visually, other people learn by doing, and they have to touch and feel and have the hands-on type of activities. When you apply this little bit of knowledge to your website, it really makes sense why I'm telling you to add variety to it. Try and communicate your message in more than one way, and more than just text. Use an image here or there. Use a video sometimes. Maybe add a cartoon. Try an interactive quiz or a game. Just find different ways to add multiple dimensions to your website and to make it more entertaining and more interesting and more engaging. In the world of the web, content is king. Content is a way of attracting the right targets to your website. Content is your beacon of light. The quality of your leads will be directly related to the quality of your content and how well it fits with what your targets are actually looking for. With inbound marketing, to create marketing gravity, you need to have compelling content that fits those 4 parameters that I discussed that my candy fits. It needs to be fresh, it needs to be sticky, it needs to be plentiful, you need to have a lot of it, and it needs to be varied, just like my candy.